It's all about eyesight.
That verse, I felt that way my whole life.
So this is Welcome Change.
By the way, this is the best time I've ever had on the talk
I'm
show.
cool with all the gods. Gods recognize gods.
The only true currency in this bankrupt world is what you share with someone else when you're around.
Welcome back, everybody, to Radio Supernova. I'm your host, Jordan Granke. Today on the show, we have the wonderful and sensational Skye Wallace. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout-out to the wonderful staff at riotradio.ca. Evan and Dan, thank you for always keeping it real and helping me with every step of the way. So Skye Wallace, she's sensational. Her official bio has been copied and pasted so many times that you can figure it out with a Google search. But I'd like to tell you about the Skye Wallace that I've come to know. Skye Wallace shouldn't be, but is somehow and somewhat still of a hidden gem in our country. She's as real as it gets, as talented as anyone I've ever heard. She's expressive, she's honest, she's fun, she's imaginative, she's beautiful, she's wise, she's a humanitarian, she's fiercely loyal, and her voice is incredible. And with that voice, she's chosen to give voices to the voiceless by writing songs that have to deal with stories of women and their historical mistreatment and hardships. She's everything you could ever want in an artist and even a role model for young women. Still, she's not a household name. At least not yet anyways. Wallace's new self-titled album released last year embodies Canadiana in a way that is very, very too often heard or seen, sadly. From living on BC's west coast to spending time at residencies from Norris Point, Newfoundland to Whitby to Dawson City, Yukon, the Toronto-based artist has been inspired by every corner of the country and inspires in every corner that she visits and discovers. It is a true pleasure to welcome to the show Miss Skye Wallace. Okay. So first of all, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time to do this, especially if you are in the studio.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be talking.
I don't know if there's a more Scottish name in the entire Canadian music industry, but
it's so true.
Yeah, you've got Isle of Skye, and then you have Wallace being one of the most prominent Scott. Thank you, Braveheart, for being a
exactly.
But
I really popularized it.
Yeah, but I was curious actually because Scotland is so rich in history. I was wondering that has being from a Scottish background influenced you in any way, or is that perhaps where you got the knack for your historical influence in your songs and art?
Yeah, I think there's definitely an element there. I grew up in all different sorts of places, and I didn't really, it's hard to say what my hometown would be. So a lot of my influence growing up has been like my constant was kind of my grandparents' house, where we lived with them when I was really little and off and on throughout my life. And so my grandparents had a huge impact on me. So my grandmother's from Scotland, my grandfather's from Newfoundland. So there's definitely a storytelling element to both of those cultures. And even though I'm not from there, there is like definitely an influence to what really gets me going for songwriting. And I'd say that definitely played a part in that. Yeah, I know it's very cool to think about where you're from and how it influences what you're doing now. It's very cool.
You're almost like you're tapping into the source, and I love that sharing. It's not so much storytelling, but like story sharing, and I love that. Yeah. And I think that you do it so well, in a way where you're kind of giving a voice to the voiceless in a way with some of the stuff that you've discovered.
Yeah, that was kind of the intention with, especially this last record, was kind of writing songs that were inspired by the stories of women specifically that inspired me, and telling stories in that vein with that kind of intention behind it. So yeah, that's exactly what kind of lights my fire when I'm setting about writing songs and telling the stories.
Yeah. So, and also, it seems like you've made lots of different stops in different places, and Toronto is more or less like an adopted home. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, so please don't hold me to it. But I ran into a fellow musician friend of mine, and I told her how excited I was that I was going to be talking to you this week and everything. And she's either under the impression that you're from, or at least you lived here, but I'm speaking to you right now from Whitby.
Yeah. So
you did live here?
Yeah. So Whitby was my grandparents' home that I lived in, and my grandfather ran the Whitby Curling Club, and we lived behind the curling club.
No.
Yeah.
So that whole Toronto Mike story that I just listened to on his podcast, by the way, huge plug for Toronto Mike, visited our class, awesome person, great podcast.
Absolutely.
That
He's
whole
incredible.
story about living behind the curling club and you sort of picking up curling almost against your will was from Whitby.
Yeah, it was from Whitby, exactly.
So I know at least 2 people that listen to this show all the time that aren't forced to listen to it, and they are friends of mine from Whitby. They are curling club members. They're going to be pumped to hear that.
Oh man, yeah. Honestly, the curling club has been a huge support, and like there's always a big curling club contingent that come to the big Toronto shows that show up. Like we did the Danforth with Matt Mays back in November, I guess, and they literally got like a stretch limo. And they drove in from Whitby, and there was just like this big group of them like screaming, they can party. So it was like very excellent. My aunt and uncle were at the kind of front of the line there, very supportive and big curlers.
If that happens again, I'm jumping on that. I'm jumping in that limo
please.
for sure.
Get in the car, get in the limo.
So do you mind if I talk to you about Matt a little bit?
Sure, yeah.
So Matt was the first person I ever got to interview.
No way.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly of Matt, and he was the first guest that I was able to arrange through the college. I'd pulled in some friends who were in bands and talked to him, but Matt was the first guy who really lent himself to this, and
cool.
I feel like he's almost like he's the initial drop in the pond, and his waves touch almost everybody, and he's such a huge influence. And I didn't see the stops on the tour.
Yeah, this was for, I think, single, and also to like bring the big show to the theater.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I unfortunately didn't see that show, but I love Matt, and I wanted to talk. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about his influence and his support to you.
Absolutely. I mean, for that tour, we didn't know each other super well yet beforehand, but like from start to finish, he was so inclusive, and we were just like, we just felt so much a part of it right from the get-go. And like, it's little things and little gestures that he didn't have to do. Like, we're just the opening band, we're just showing up, but he made us feel he was so kind and generous, and like, brought us up on stage at the end of every show, and like his crew is all just super kind people. And I love the music that they make too. I feel like they're one of those really important pieces to see, like they truly spread this joy with the music that they're making, and they like connect with people, and they make such a difference. And that's like, to me, that's what music is all about. And they are, even at such a high level, like at such a, I don't know, it's kind of like the ideal situation, like big stages that they're on, they're still able to connect and to spread that joy and that passion and energy. And I think that's just like an incredible feat, and something that was amazing to watch. I feel like I learned a lot from that tour, watching them every night, and felt really inspired to kind of, push towards that goal, that end goal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was incredible.
Once you see Matt Mays, I think it makes everybody take a step back and say, wow, I got to step up my live A game.
Oh, man. And actually, this tour was very interesting, too, because he started solo, sitting down, and then he brought on a different band member with each song that came up next. And by the end of it, he had an 8-piece band, and then he stood up, and then it was a rock show from then on. So it was a really cool kind of progression of the songs. And it was a sit down. It was kind of a seated theater situation for every show that we did.
Yeah.
I think it was 19 shows. And by the end of it, every single theater was fully on their feet, standing and into it in rock show. So it was a very cool thing to see.
So speaking of Matt's crew, did you get a chance to talk Bruce Springsteen with Adam Baldwin?
Not really, although they did play a bunch of Bruce Springsteen at the after party. There was a jam in Halifax, so it was awesome.
Adam is one of those, I admire him so much, and he's also been on the show, which is crazy. I'm just going to individually go through all of Matt's band. No, I'm just kidding. But Adam, I caught opening up for Blue Rodeo one day, and I realized that I had all these earlier anecdotal sort of ties with him from Halifax. So he's got incredible stuff on his own. He's a fantastic songwriter, and his stuff's awesome.
It's been
like you've almost had this really unique sort of Canadian music internship. Like you've spent time opening up for Sam Roberts, the Strumbellas, Matt, of course, Danko Jones, Ron Hawkins. You did solo stuff and full band stuff with him, right?
And full band. We actually just the last 2 shows of the year we're opening up for the Low 2 nights in a row in Toronto, and that was incredible. They've been so supportive as well. Like it's been a really excellent time to not only learn from these people, but they're also like, I'm a huge fan of all of them. So it's like, it's very trippy, and I don't know, I feel very stoked every time something like this kind of comes about. Just, for my own fanship, as well as, everything that I have to learn from them. It's amazing.
And speaking of fans, you have a photo with one of my favorite Canadians and favorite people ever, Mr. Alan Doyle.
Oh my God, yes, I do.
Now, have you ever heard of the term to shake Sinatra's hand?
No, I haven't actually.
So it's popularized in the movie Ocean's 13.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's not well explained in the movie. However, it implies a sort of gentleman's or gentle person's agreement, like an unbreakable code between the members of some exclusive group. In that case, it was the businessmen who were operating in Las Vegas when Frank Sinatra was a Vegas performer. And it kind of meant like a person's word is their bond, but also if you know Frank, I know Frank, we all, And
right.
The inference is that one does not attempt to fleece another member of such an exclusive group. It also kind of doubles as a nod to the original Ocean's movie because Frank Sinatra played the original role of Danny Ocean. Anyways, I feel like it applies personally to the people who have met Alan Doyle.
Oh man!
So could you indulge
I
me?
can see that.
Could you indulge me and tell me about that experience?
So I think in order to properly convey this experience, I need to maybe overshare a little bit about myself. Alan Doyle was my first crush.
Oh, mine too.
I don't blame you. It's like I remember being like 7, and like my grandfather was really into Great Big Sea because it was very Newfoundland representative, and so we'd be watching them all the time. I remember seeing them playing like a New Year's Eve thing, and I was just like, oh my God. And it was my first crush ever. I remember it very vividly. So he was playing Mariposa that year. This was about a year and a half ago. And there was the meeting. That was the first actual meeting of Alan Doyle, and I was dying a little bit inside because I was freaking out. But
is he as awesome in person as I imagine?
Oh, he's amazing. He's so kind. He's so cool. He just has this radiating energy. It was amazing.
I have I've done I've done borderline unforgivable things to try and meet that guy. And but I mean it was everybody when you grow up I'm going to be dating myself a little bit, but I'm comfortable with my age. I feel like people always remember the first record or the first cassette or the first CD they ever bought. I can remember having cassettes, but when I graduated from cassettes to CD player, I begged my parents for 2 CDs. Because of the age I was at, I had to have Dookie by Green Day. All my friends had to have it. And the other CD was Up, Great Big Sea's Up.
God.
I guess their second record, but their first really major label. The problem is, back in the day when CDs were dominated by major labels and stuff, my parents apparently had a horrible time trying to find it and had to order it. And then it cost it was double the price of a CD. Anyway, when I got it on Christmas Day, I could have forgotten about any other thing I even got. I could have gotten a new bike. It wouldn't have mattered. That CD meant so much to me. And I have just been, even as kind of their corporate push came and went, followed his solo stuff. I've read both his books. I just love the guy. I honestly just love that guy. He keeps playing on my kids' birthdays.
What?
So I can never go see him. And I've been trying to get him on the show and stuff, but we're just a tiny radio show and stuff. We're not I know that he's super busy. He's got an amazing. Anyway, I love the guy so much, and will always be jealous of the fact that you got to spend time with Mr. Alan Doyle.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. There's actually a funny lead up to that actual meeting that day. I'm going to go into a little bit of a story, if that's
sure,
okay.
Please do.
I sat down. There was an outdoor area where all the food was for artists. And so I sat down on a chair. I was wearing a skirt, and something, I'm not sure if it was like a spider or something like that, something bit me in the butt.
Oh.
And it was very painful. And so I was like freaking out, and I was like to my friend that was there, I was like, you gotta go check this out, because it feels like something's swelling. I feel like I'm having an allergic reaction, whatever. So we go behind this tree, and I show my friend my butt, and they're like, I don't know, it's okay. And then come around the tree, and Alan Doyle just like whizzes by in a car, and he's just like, his face is out the window. And that was the first time that I ever saw Alan Doyle in real life. And
Oh my
he
God.
basically saw my butt, my bare butt with a spider bite on it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that wasn't the actual first meeting.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know what, knowing Alan, and not that I do, but I'm saying just knowing of him, I'm sure he would have turned that into a great joke or a great one-liner, or turned that into some amazing story he told later that blows everybody's hair off.
Yeah.
Turns out that girl that I saw her fanny with the bite, ended up being Skye Bloody Wallace. Like, you know, like you can just see him turn that into a story.
Totally. Yeah, I'd be fine with it.
That's amazing.
It would be so okay.
It's not a sweet lesson in the day with the night is dark with 1,000 stars, and I can't see with, and I'm working every day a little harder, and I can't see it, and I look forward to nothing at all, to nothing at all, and I can't raise a dry, I look under the veil, there is a wall, I want to make waves, when I misbehave, there is a wall, I'm running down, I'm running it down in my stomach, a million wolves are waiting, and they seem to have a purpose, but I stay working, and leaving is worthless, but I'm still working to nothing at all, to nothing at all, and I can't raise a dry, I look under the veil, there is a wall, I want to make waves, when I misbehave, there is a wall, I'm running it down, I'm running it down, I'm running it down, I'm running it down.
So getting a little bit deeper into all things Skye Wallace, I was wondering if you could complete this sentence for me.
Sure.
I'm a musician because
I want to create a feeling. I want to connect with people and make people feel the way that I feel about music.
Nice.
There's so many times where I'll hear a song and I know that feeling is something that I want to instill in other people. And I think that like chasing for connection and shared emotional experience is like what it's all about for me.
That's amazing. What was your first really meaningful music memory?
So when I was really little, I was very obsessed with Randy Travis.
Right on.
So that tape, my grandfather had a tape of it. It was Always and Forever, I think was the name of the album. And I knew all the words by the time I was 4.
Holy.
And yeah, it was like, I mean, I didn't know what the words meant, but
Yeah.
I was like phonetically, I had listened to it nonstop so much that I had memorized the record in its entirety, and I still know it to this day. But yeah, I'd like to say that was the first super impactful musical thing that really connected with me and made me feel so much. And yeah, it kind of sparked something, I think.
So you're 4 years old and you have Randy Travis, and my 4-year-old was obsessed with Baby Shark.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean,
I'm doing things.
Tomato.
I'm doing things wrong. That's what I'm doing.
I don't know. My parents didn't know too much music, so I had to have people singing in the car for some reason, or else I would cry. And so they knew, this is the song that never ends, and Blood on the Saddle. Those are the two. So like, oh my god, we gotta learn more songs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry. This is getting boring. So,
do you remember what record it was? Did you actually remember what record it was, or no?
For Randy Travis?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Always and Forever.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, you did mention that.
One, yeah.
Oh, because he has a song, Forever. Yeah, Forever and
Forever and Ever, Amen. Yeah. It's an amazing record. It's kind of like that neo-trad, 80s country. It's very good. It's kind of feels very honky-tonk.
You know, there was some really amazing songwriting in that whole era, like the 85, all the Warner Brothers release stuff. I'm trying to think. I can't remember. Is the song On the Other Hand on that record?
No, it's not.
It's one of my favorite Randy Travis songs. Anyways, I know it's 85, 86, and also, but if you go back and listen to some of that songwriting as a songwriter and an amazing songwriter, like Forever and Ever, Amen, like those songs, or is Too Gone Too Long off that record?
You've been too gone. Yeah, that's on there. Yeah, I love that.
That song's amazing.
It's incredible. And actually, something I realized about that record recently is that there's not a friggin' bridge on the entire record. I don't think there's one song that has a bridge.
No?
And I was like, oh, that's why I don't really write bridges.
Oh, yeah, because you're pretty straightforward with the verse-chorus.
Yeah. I'm just, as I was writing this next record over the last couple of weeks, I started incorporating the odd bridge or two, and it started outside my comfort zone. It's not a thing I do.
You write yourself a Post-it note saying, write a middle eight today?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, that's interesting. It's funny. I would have never. I mean, I haven't listened to the whole record front to back. I'm just sort of remembering things that I can recall off the top of my head. But I'm definitely going to go back and listen to that and try and pick that up. I wonder if, again, as somebody who writes songs, basically for a living now, I wonder if that was a conscious choice or just the way it came out. Was it a decision made in the studio? Was it just a style thing that they said, you know what, forget it?
Yeah. I wonder at the time if it was as prevalent in that style of music. But yeah, I have no idea. It'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah. So I'm interested. You are, I hate calling anybody new or veteran or trying to, people just make music and I love it. You know, I guess if you're Elton John and you have 15 albums or 18 albums in the tank and you kind of say that he's, a classical or whatever, people just sort of categorize other people like that. Yeah. But I'm always curious as where you consider what stage you are in your career.
Oh, that's so interesting, actually. I don't know if I've ever been asked that. It's really cool. It's interesting. It's there were certain points over the years where where I have been, I've been at this for so long, feels like, you're banging your head against the wall sometimes. But I started recognizing, how much time and energy it actually does take to kind of craft a career. And I say, at this point, I've been in this, kind of emerging stage with this record. I feel like every record has been a really awesome chance to grow and to, reach a little bit farther, hit new audiences, connect with more people. I'd say I'm excited with the next stages, and it's becoming kind of a sustainable thing for the first time lately. So I'd say that is something huge to be able to say as an artist. So and something I've been striving towards for a long time. So it'll be cool to see where the next record takes me in the band as well. Yeah.
I hate to put you on the spot as far as spoilers or anything like that. Yeah. But is this going to be LP, EP, single? Do you have any plan for that?
It'll be an LP.
Excellent.
Yeah, with a bunch of singles, hopefully before the actual release. I'm not at liberty to say when.
Nope, that's fine.
It'll be out, but yeah, it's, you know, in the works, which is fun. I've been writing for the last little while, just after we had like a crazy time of touring with like the Mat tour mixed with our European tour back to back. It was about 2 months I was gone, so it was nice to just like come back and hunker down and get back to, you know, the music and the writing elements that I so love. So yeah, it's been a really cool process.
while you're doing this, you're not doing the other thing that you are known for doing, you know? So I kind of feel guilty for taking away any of your time. But
I think it's kind of important to do, you know, many things, and to like, I think you can do such a better job creatively if you like take a step back for a little bit and then come back into it.
Sure.
Instead of just plugging away. And yeah, I feel that. So,
and so I was just going to ask you one more thing, kind of
Please.
just to wrap up. And I was wondering if you could speak about it, whether it's from experience or things that you've learned along the way, whether it was the easy way or the hard way, things like SOCAN and Factor and grants, and just how important it is for people starting out or people just in our industry.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of stories of people kind of lamenting the grant system, and it's definitely something that is very competitive, and it's hard to get, like, it's hard to access. Like, you have to have a lot of things together in order to get the money, but the fact that it exists is so amazing, and we have been very fortunate in having grant funding several times for the last couple of records, and it's just like, it's been life-changing, because I wouldn't have been able to make the records otherwise. And I tell friends in the States about the fact that this exists, and they're just flabbergasted because this is totally outside of what exists in the States. So it is really, really excellent. And there's there's the arts councils, and then there's also Factor, and they all do such incredible things for being able to develop as an artist. It just like opens up so many doors. So I've felt very fortunate as far as having those exist has been a huge thing. And I do think too, like it is acknowledgeably so hard to tour in Canada because it's so big, and it's especially like when I was out west in BC a bit more, like the time between towns is outrageous, like 7-8 hour drives just to play one gig. There's a band out in Vancouver called Kitty and the Rooster, and they have a song called One Gig Hard Drive which but at the same time, like while that is definitely the case and it's grueling to go on like a cross Canada tour, it also gives you like pretty good kind of road dog chops. Like you get good at it and you get experienced at it, and you become such an intense problem solver. Like anything that comes your way, you learn to just like react to it very quickly and efficiently, and also to just kind of accept when things happen because they are bound to. And so I find now, after touring Canada many times, like I'm less rattled when things happen on the road. And, like on that last tour, we got stuck in 2 different snowstorms, which was crazy. And then had our brakes blow in Ottawa, and we had to stay there for a day. But, we didn't miss any shows. Nobody got hurt. And as a group, because we've all toured quite a bit, like we were able to problem solve together and not get, bent out of shape or stressed or anything like that. So it definitely... I don't want to use the word hardened. It hardens you a little bit, but it also kind of seasons you to be able to do more touring with more of be more professional at it, or have a better time because you have everything under control.
Exactly. I think when Factor, and we always, the other bands I've talked to and artists as well, we'll preface this by saying that you don't just call Factor and they just e-transfer you money. There's a whole application process. It's very
huge process.
and it's very competitive. And but they will help you out with things. And I think if you're able to have a little bit of a financial cushion to tour with, you're right. Yeah. Blowing a tire doesn't mean that you're taking out all the money you've made over the last 5 shows. Exactly. So it does help. And then again, I think the whole thing kind of lends itself to the entire sort of process. Like I don't feel as stressed. I can focus more on my live show. If my shows go better, I can focus more about maybe writing or planning the next step or that stuff. But
you can actually experience a pretty steady build. Just, okay, this thing is under control. Let me figure out the other elements of the career path, that kind of thing. So I'm definitely super grateful.
And it's just we're getting the background info in our class, which is great. And we see things like the sides of the music industry. Actually, the first day of our tour management class, our teachers said the same thing. 8 hours between gigs. You have no idea how much it costs in gas. You're gonna be sleeping in a car. You're gonna hate your band, and it was a perfect depiction. I was gonna stand up and cheer, but we're getting all this background information, and I'm trying to make an effort with every artist that I talk to who's been doing it, so that they can sort of other people can discover the application of, or if you're a band and they're a fan of yours or a singer songwriter and they're lucky enough to, or if I'm lucky enough, for them to hear the show. They hear that and go, oh, wow, okay, I better, it kind of gives them a real depiction of how it actually applies itself. Yeah. So that's why I want to.
And how they can move forward, because it can be so, I don't know, you can hit a wall so easily. We're like, well, how am I ever going to do that? I know I felt that so many different times where it's like, it just seems impossible to pull something off. But if you have a little bit of, if you discover something that might, like Factor, for instance, that might help you get up to the next level and the next, doesn't seem so impossible anymore.
Oh, that's amazing. And I love hearing that. And thank you for sharing that with us, because I think that's going to be big for the future, for the next Canadian singer-songwriter sensation. Hopefully we don't miss out on their talent and their contribution, because they couldn't get money to record or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very, very much for doing this. I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to
oh my gosh,
to talk to us.
Thank you for having me. It was great, and also great questions. Like,
thank you. Yeah, I'm sure. Again, I've gone through some of your interviews and stuff too, and I think you have a lot more to share. So I thought, cool. I just kind of saw where it took me, and I thought, okay, now we're talking about Matt Mays. Gotta ask her about Alan Doyle. I'm glad you enjoyed the questions because I enjoyed your answers.
Big time. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for asking. And that's, just keep on doing that. Cause that's, I think important. I think like a lot of artists really, love having things like that thrown at them. Like something that's different.
And good luck with the demos. I'm obviously
Thank
pumped
you.
to hear new stuff. I'm still enjoying the last record and, but thank you very much and good luck. And, I'll try and come out and say hello to you, next time I'm at a show.
Yeah, please. That would be wonderful.
All right, Skye. Thank you so much for your time again.
Absolutely. You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh, Skye.